Welcome back to the 5th episode of Stunt School. It's been quite a while since the last episode. In this video, we're going to cover some of the more advanced foot brake tricks you can begin to try. We'll just jump right into it here. I may have mentioned these last 3 tricks in the second episode, but we have rev limiter coasters, shifting while in a wheelie, and scrapes. If you're dialed with coasters and you're carrying some good distance with the clutch pulled in, you can start trying to add some revs in. I started with small blips of the throttle, working my way up until I was close to the limiter. Once I was kind of comfortable with doing something additional while in the coaster and I could still concentrate on, balancing and using as little foot brake as possible and still carrying that distance while doing something else, then I committed to holding the throttle open at rev limiter. My most important piece of advice when trying rev limiter coasters is do not let the clutch out in a panic under any circumstances. So if you're pulling the clutch in, you're going to coast and it's falling back too fast for you or whatever, and you were already trying to add throttle, don't panic and let the clutch out. Keep it pulled in at all times and mousetrap if you have to. I'd rather come down hard on the front as opposed to dumping that clutch when it's pinned at limiter and, backflipping the bike basically. It's just going to be a bad day. If you've gotten good at pulling the clutch in, coasting for a little bit, then letting it back out and keeping the wheel up and continuing the wheelie, you're about ready to try and shift in a wheelie. It's really just a matter of clicking up into the next gear while coasting and then letting the clutch out the same way, nice and smooth. My personal experience going from first to second on the Grom, it can buck you pretty good, if you're not smooth on that clutch release. So make sure you're ready on the foot brake. I've seen plenty of videos of people just going to shift and just flipping their bike, and I think I put plenty of examples in that second episode. The only reason I put scrapes after coasters is because in the Grom and first gear, it's probably better to pull the clutch in when you scrape since you aren't really carrying a lot of speed. If you're in second gear or higher on the Grom, you don't really need to pull the clutch in. I'll put in some screenshots here of some useful tips I found from Facebook when it comes to scraping. You can try and learn to park the bike on the subcage from a stand-up position using only the handbrake, or recently I've enjoyed just going super slow in a sit-down, kind of using the foot brake, and then as I'm hopping off, I'm covering the clutch and the handbrake so I can kind of stall the bike or park it on the 12 bar and just, use that handbrake at the end to come to that complete stop. This is just another useful trick to help learn stalls in the future. And I'll put a couple, video clips from Jason Britton here of what stalls actually are, and a couple of pictures, so you get an idea of what a stall actually is.
There it is.
To try and get into hand drags, I would first start with one-handed scrapes. There's a pretty good chance when you're trying to reach for that hand drag, you're going to tap the titanium, so it's a good idea to get comfortable with scraping with one hand on the bars first. I thought Nasty Nate Jr. talked about this in a video when he was trying to learn hand drags, where he had that almost exact same explanation, so that's kind of where I got it from, but I couldn't find the video clip. Otherwise, I would put it in here. It should be pretty easy to get a hand drag once you can scrape one-handed. It's just a matter of having the right technique to, achieve the appropriate extension you need, and pretty much just committing to that. And then once you can hand drag with the clutch hand, you can try double hand drags, which look like this. Or throttle side hand drags, which I don't have any successful examples of those, but those would kind of look like this. That's about it for this video. This is the sequence I would go about accomplishing these more advanced foot brake tricks. As always, any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. We'll see you guys next week.
Hottest stash in the carpet. Yeah, we trapping out apartments. I ain't done when you start shit. To be honest, lit the flame in my heart, gotta spark it.